Good morning. Hey, party people. I'm 1 minute late because YouTube was being a little hoe. Oh, my hair is looking really bad today. Anyway, I don't care. I'm so tired today, and I don't really have a good reason why. Some mornings you just wake up and you're like, I don't have eye makeup on. I'm like, tinted moisturizer, eyebrows, lipstick. Let's go. Here's some coffee. Okay, today's lecture is on ageism in fashion, and we're going to address it two-pronged. But before we start, the other night I was digging through all my boxes of fabric because I was looking for something very specific. I had this idea of something I wanted to do, um, and I was looking for it, and guess what I found? Okay. Those of you in the audience, let me know how the sound is. As usual, thank you, thank you. I found this. It's a charcoal gray lining material, and I don't remember buying it. It's got this nice twill. I have several yards. And look, it's like kind of sheeny, but it's not black. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see that black thing hanging there? That's the tank, the black leather tank. And so we're going to burn it. See the fiber composition. If I'm lining leather, polyester is fine. It's not like leather is this amazing breathable thing. It's not like silk or cotton where you want to retain like how light and breathable and airy it is. So I line leather with polyester all the time. I prefer rayon Bemberg. If you watch my rayon video on the main channel, then you know that. But let's burn a little piece, okay? Listen, I was talking to somebody about, hold on. Let me not multitask while I'm burning things, okay? Setting things on fire. Okay, it's burning. You see the white and how it's burning? Okay. That is a sign that it's not man made. Typically, polyesters will burn with black smoke, and it burns, and there's no black bead. Okay. Do you see how it just is burnt at the end? There's no black little bead that hangs on. When you burn polyester, I burnt this piece of polyester deliberately to show you guys before in another video. Do you see this little black bead that will not come off? Because it's just burnt plastic. It's melted plastic. And that's what happens when you burn polyester. But this I just burnt, and you see the brown where I burnt it? There's no bead. It like literally burned and smoked white away. And that's how you know this is rayon. So I think I'm going to use this to line my shirt, my tank. I feel like the universe not showing me this in my stash before was trying to humble me. I don't know why I need to be humbled. I feel like I have endured plenty in my life to be humbled. In particular, this whole like my husband almost dying thing, like me being an adult orphan, not having any reliable adults like in my life anymore. Because even though I'm 45, I sometimes feel like I'm 25 and I'm still trying to figure out life. But that's rant for another day. Anyway, so I might cut this up to do the lining. Okay. So, good morning, Rachel. Rachel says the sound is fine. Thank you, Gabrielle. Hi. Hello, Gabrielle. Cookie says, thankful for your content. You're welcome. And do 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 do. Da 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 da. Bum ba bum bum da da da. Bum 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 ba bum. Bum 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 ba bum. Do 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 do. Cookie says Disco Inferno a little bit. I don't know if you're referring to me setting things on fire or my hat. I love my hat. I'm so sleepy today. I felt like I need a little razzle dazzle. Anyway, I was Tyler says already time for a mod. For real, right? Like why you calling the cops on me? Psh, I mean, I could think of a few things, but like nothing on this channel. I remember one time. So listen, tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary of my father's death, and so he's been on my mind a lot recently. And one time we were just joking around about some stuff, and I was like, my main goal in life is uh, to be on the news for more good things than bad things. And he's like, this is a noble goal for you. I swear, the one time I actually did need a cop, we could not find him anywhere because I was driving around with my stepsister at the time and somebody hit us like while we were driving. Like they bumped us, not enough to injure us, but they bumped us and took off. And we're like, and we got their license plate and we're looking for a cop so we could like report it. We're like in our 20s. No, couldn't find a cop anywhere. I'm like, this is LA. There's cops everywhere. Where's a cop when you need one? Not around. Not around. So, talk about backhanded compliments. Well, what's a backhanded compliment? I don't know. Do do do. I don't know. I just deleted so much stuff. Did I delete something accidentally? Sorry about that. I was trying to get rid of some people. Anyway, okay. So today I want to talk about ageism in fashion. And I do mean on the manufacturing side and on the consumer side. Okay. Humble is the way. Humble is the way. Sometimes somebody can be too humble, but yeah, the universe humbled me with my knit lining idea that I decided maybe it'll work. But I already have a better idea for how to do the lining than the first time, apart from the lining. So, listen, I think I may have mentioned this before, but I'm kind of ornery. Okay, I do have a contrarian streak, and it's not that I disagree to disagree. Like that to me that's weird. Like when I really disagree about something, I'll speak up about it, but it's not like I disagree just so I can be like, kill me if I ever say to play devil's advocate. Like, listen, have you met the devil? The devil needs no advocates. Okay, we already have enough evil in the world. The devil needs no more advocates. Okay, do you read the news? All right, so shoot me if I ever say that phrase. All right. Uh, but there's something about someone saying something where I'm like, well, the other day somebody said, and this person, I know they meant well. I absolutely know that they were being kind to me when they said this. I know this and I acknowledge this. They said, okay, well, time to scrap the tank, moving on, like, you know. And I know they meant this as a like a yeah, don't worry about it. Don't feel guilty about it. Let's move on to the next project. I know that's how they meant it. Thank you so very much. But the second someone is like, yeah, next, I'm like, well, no, now I have to go fix it. I'm literally the worst. I'm like, so it's in my active projects rack over here. I'm like, I got to work on this. I got to work on this. So I have the lining and I'm going to try this new thing. It's very slippery. So even sewing that is going to be not a good time. It's not. It's really not. But I have some ideas. Okay, so stay tuned. All right. Capybara says hi, hello. Naya12 says hi, hello. Tyler said, T. Geisler, you changed your name. I noticed you had the knit on the top when you were sewing. I thought it would have been easier with the knit on the bottom. Honestly, like I considered it, but it was a visibility factor. Seeing how slippery it was, I really needed to be able to see it. Like, and I felt like I would lose sight. Like the feed dogs would grab it and slide it over. So I was kind of like, And because I was like, I only have one shot to do this, which we know, I know. And I know people are like, well, you're going to have to make the seam allowance a little bit bigger now. Yes, I acknowledge that also, which is absurd, 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 considering we as a group agonized over the width of my shoulder straps back and forth, and now they're going to be skinny. We had all gone back and forth and collectively decided that the wider shoulder strap was the better look. And what the universe was saying was, yeah, cut the shoulder straps wide because you're going to need it when you need a fat seam allowance. Anyway, I did make a jacket for myself. I upcycled a denim jacket on, when did I do this? Sunday afternoon. So I'll post about that on Friday, among other things. But yeah, so. Emmy, hello. Can we do girl talk? I don't know what that means. Okay. Oh, I have some new people. I'm 34, have an 18-year-old girlfriend. People say I'm too old for her. Is that true? Yes. Set her free. T says, trust the feed dogs, girl. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to do a test. I have scraps sitting around, so I'm going to do a test just to satiate your curiosity. And now my curiosity, now that you keep mentioning it. But yeah. So honestly, wide shoulder straps are prettier. Yeah, we know. We tried that. Okay, so you're coming late in that conversation. Cookie says part of being creative is inverting ideas and making mistakes and going against the grain and then being humbled and figuring it out. Cookie, you are a little too fixated on this idea that I need to be humbled, and I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, because I am in a period of my life where I feel like I could use an ego boost. My whole life, I went not thinking about my teeth at all, and not in a dental hygiene way, but just like I never thought like, oh man, my teeth are so weird. But you know what happens on these live streams? People keep telling me my teeth look all messed up. So yeah, no, if you have a career in social media, you don't need a lot of humbling moments. People will humble you anyway. So yeah. All else fails. T says, all else fails. Fusible stabilized seams on knit. Lol, I have ideas. I know. And I love this for all of us, for us to learn from. I don't have enough modal to cut another one. I do have plenty of both black and white fusible hanging out of the studio. So, but I do have this lining fabric. So we'll see. Da-da. How is cold there? Here is too much. My father and mother going on a honeymoon. I don't know what you're talking about. Gabrielle, your teeth are fine. People need to mind their own business. That's what I think. I think my teeth are fine. I never thought anything of it. Like, my teeth are my teeth. But people keep talking about them on my live stream. I'm like, I just, this is why people have such short careers on social media, because messed up people come online and decide to hate on people for like literally no reason. And, some people say some terrible things and they deserve to be humbled and hated upon. I'm the first to say it. But what you mean my teeth are messed up? Like, whatever. I don't. CJ, your teeth are beautiful. Thank you. CJ, are you the CJ that I know in real life? The CJ I met with Jasmine? Maybe. Hello, if you are. T, people need to stop commenting on your appearance. So rude. For real. For real. I'm not even one of those like beauty channel. Not to say that if you're a beauty influencer, people should be talking about your teeth. Like, I don't think you should be doing that either. But I'm definitely not somebody who's like, hey, look at this product and like, look at my face. Like, I'm not someone who's like, look at my face, look at my face. If I could do these live streams without people looking at my face, I would. You know why? Because it would save me time in the morning to put my eyebrows on. Okay. So, yeah. Rachel says, "Girl, your teeth are fine coming from someone who loves her own buck teeth." You know, not Lauren, not Lauren Bacall. There's another famous model named Lauren from the 70s and 80s. She has that gap in her teeth. Am I thinking of Lauren Sutton? How people kept trying to pressure her to fix the gap in her teeth. And she's like, "This is what makes me special." I'm like, damn right. Damn right. Okay. T says, "There will always be haters, I suppose. I hate to say it, but attention is attention." Yeah, I just scroll past those. Like at the time people say those things, I don't give them any attention, but I'm like, so whatever. Gabrielle, they probably want you to get veneers. My teeth have to be 100 times more messed up than what they look like now for me to consider veneers. And I'll probably get them done in Korea. My dad went to Korea to get his teeth done, and they were like 1/10 the price, and they looked really good. But he was already in his 50s, late 50s when he got them done. So I got like another decade. Hutton, yes, Lauren Hutton, Indrev, thank you, Lauren Hutton. That's that's exactly who I was talking about. She had that gap in her teeth, and that just kind of was part of her charm. She had a very like, sunny California, loose wavy hair, like beautiful, like effortless kind of beauty, and that kind of gap in her teeth kind of like added to her charm. And people were like, "Why don't you get it fixed?" And she's like, "Cause this is who I am." And I'm like, "I love it. I love it." Do, 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 do. Cookie Lamau didn't mean it that way, just how I learned it by myself and trying. Lamau. Just equated to engagement, yes. Mason says, "Hello, I hope you have a great day." Same to you. Same to you. All right. Let's get to the topic of the day, which is ageism. And the reason why it's in the front of my mind is I was talking to someone the other day about how I want to go buy a bunch of old, thrifted, vintage, whatever, denim jackets and just start upcycling all of them just as a process to explore creativity and have fun, make myself some jackets, rip stuff up. And there's this thing like in my personal life, I am very good at taking care of my things. I have a lot of things that are super old. I have stuff that I received from my mother who died in the 90s that I still take care of. Like, I'm just a meticulous person in that way. I take care of things and I don't like to buy repeats. Okay. And so, how that manifests in my creativity is I get a little bit too precious about things and I don't want to waste things. And I mean, you can see some of that in my sustainability motives where this idea to use scrap and to use secondhand, to pursue secondhand, to upcycle, like some of that is because I'm worried about the earth, and some of that is I don't like wasting things. Some of that is because I grew up poor, whatever. But I need to get rid of some of that preciousness of things in order to kind of like stretch and create and just kind of like be more loose with my creativity. Hi, Violet Femme. Good morning. And so I am going to buy a bunch of denim jackets. I've found a couple of sources and just start ripping them up and putting them back together again. I have a box of things that I was meant to mend, like things that I bought in thrift stores and vintage stores and vintage fairs. And when I lived in the Bay Area, I used to go to the Alameda Vintage Fair, Vintage Expo every year. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. And this person had said something along the likes of how, you know, denim jackets are so millennial coded. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not a millennial. I'm too old to be a millennial. I am that weird, I don't like the word exennial. Um, I am Gen Y. When I was growing up, Gen Y was the term that was used popularly to kind of group the small generation after Gen X, but before millennials. Like we straddled the like Gen X are Gen X because they didn't grow up with the internet. They got internet as adults. And millennials grew up with the internet. And Gen Y kind of grew up half and half with the internet. Okay, that's kind of how people look at it. And I'm Gen Y, and I do not relate to millennials at all. Nothing wrong with them. I just, when people talk about, oh, millennials this, millennials that, I'm like, that's not how I feel about things. And so, but regardless, that comment was like, I just don't believe in a whole category of products is like coded for a particular age. Like, I just think that people should wear what makes them feel like themselves, like makes them feel good. Like, when I'm in a dressing room, that's the thing. It's like, do I feel like myself? Do I feel like I could sit down and relax my body in it? And I mean that like mentally and physically. Like, can I relax in a chair and just like be myself in this garment? Even if I'm buying something that's like a party dress, you know? So, I mean, that's always the barometer, right? And so, this idea of, and I don't know, the internet listens to us, right? Apps like Threads and TikTok, like they listen to us. And so, I started seeing all these comments about how, like somebody said, I saw somebody post like they'll rip a matte red lip out of my cold dead millennial hands. So apparently people are going around saying that a matte red lip looks old and dated, and I'm like, it's stupid. Like all those comments are stupid. There's really no other word for it. They're just stupid. It's like a control tactic. They want you to look a certain way and they believe that they can just go around and the ultimate insult is that you look old, like, oh, it makes you look old. And it's an all encompassing, like people think, oh, well, um it's not ableist, it's not sexist, it's not body negative. So, but this is an insult I can use to make people not wear this thing that I don't like, to tell people they look old. And it works a lot of the time because a lot of women don't want to look old. And this is not the same for men because we know that men looking hot has like a longer lifespan, in mass media, in what is considered conventionally handsome. And so, like, immediately it's like, oh, well, if you wear this, you look old. And if you wear that, you look old. And I'm like, bullshit, get out of here. Okay. Just, I hate any article that's like 30 things you shouldn't wear over the age of 30. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, your 30s are the prime like time to be experimenting with your style. Like, I feel like in your 30s you've developed, mass generalization, of course, but like in your 30s you've kind of developed your own spine. You have figured out more of who you are. You don't feel like you need to fit in with people and follow every trend for trend, and that you can just figure things out on your own. And by your 30s, a lot of the time you have more money to play around with your style and buy things than you had previously. The 30s are your prime time to be fooling around and figuring out what fun things you might want to wear. And if I'm going to talk about things in terms of age, I also think about it in terms of, if you want to sell a lot of expensive things, target older. And I don't mean that in any sense other than older people typically have more money. Just of their own money. Okay. We're always going to have rich people who have like generational wealth. But for the most part, if you're talking about people on their own, like they are more established in their careers and have more disposable income, and they've worked their career path enough that they've gotten promotions. And I don't care if you are a retail manager, work at a McDonald's, work in corporate America, you're a lawyer, like if you've worked a certain career path for a while and have been steadily getting promoted, yeah, when you're older, you're making more money than when you were in your 20s and you're a newbie cashier. So, yeah, that's what I mean by targeting older people is like, yeah, they can afford more expensive stuff. And yeah, there are, you could say that as a designer, you could say things like, well, I'm targeting older because I'm thinking about more like investment pieces, more timeless pieces. And there's absolutely a segment of the population who is like that. They're older and they want investment pieces. They have the money to spend for them. And they want like a classic camel hair winter coat that they can wear a few seasons, few years. They want like a classic Burberry trench style sort of situation for their spring coat for a few seasons. Like, absolutely, there are people like that who exist, but there are people who exist like that in their 20s and 30s. It's all about, you know, so I was at an alumni event on Saturday. And what this event was, Otis Fashion, they do this thing where they, what is it called? Stitching for Success is the event name. And they invite alums and current students. And so they set alums up in these tables and they kind of like let the students loose. And we have these like 20-minute like sessions where the students get to ask the alums various questions and then they call time and then the students move on to the next table. And so they get to talk to different alums of different ages because me and my girlfriend Susie went and we were the oldest ones. We graduated in 2002, but there were students who had just graduated that some graduated during COVID. And so they had that experience to share. And then there were some who graduated in 2014, 2008, like all throughout. And so they are speaking of their experience like all throughout these careers. And one of the main questions I got, and like all the alums were kind of segmented by theme. And my theme of the table I was sat at was entrepreneurship. So a question I got was, how do you know you're ready? Like, when are you ready to start your brand? Let's say you want to start a brand. When are you ready? And I said, you're ready when you have three things. Okay. Number one, money. Okay. You can't do this without money. So maybe you have a decent day job where you can collect a paycheck and you can pour that money after you pay your bills into buying fabric, into paying for sample makers, that sort of thing. Or you have a stash that you've saved up, whatever, you need money. Number two, you have connections. You have some way of reaching out to people and sourcing and like working in your industry, whether it's online, in person, combination. Okay. And number three is you have a strong idea for your brand. Okay. And everyone's laughing because you're like, Zoe, you don't. You have money and connections, but you don't have a strong idea for your brand. You're flip flopping around and experimenting. Exactly. Which is why I haven't filed any paperwork yet. But those are the three things you need. And that's when you're going to be ready to launch because, yeah, you can flip flop and hang out and explore, go design ugly t-shirts during the day for a company that just, the only thing you get from is they cut you a check, and trust that there are lots of jobs like that. Just because somebody works in fashion doesn't mean that that's their dream job either. And I'm not trying to diminish anybody, but like the alums themselves were talking about this, is like they were talking about how, yeah, like sometimes you work a job where all you do is make ugly t-shirts and you just draw flats for t-shirts all the day is long. And then you come home and you have to figure out a way to feed your creative hunger, and it's different. And so one of the things I talked about was, when people are developing their brand, another kind of question led to us talking about the trend cycle. And so trend cycle, every brand sits in a different spot in the trend cycle, and it's separate from your age. There are a lot of age groups that typically sit towards a trend, like a section of the trend cycle, but not always. And what I mean by trend cycle is you have the ones that are the trendsetters, right? There are the Micha Pradas, where they're really about developing new ideas and pushing these new ideas. Even if initially they look a little bit ridiculous on the runway, they're there to present the ridiculous ideas. They develop the concept cars of the fashion industry, and people, they establish a reputation for being trendsetters, and people look to them for more ideas. Then there are people who ride the trend. A lot of contemporary brands are like this. Not all contemporary brands, but a lot of contemporary brands, a lot of contemporary dressmakers, they distill the weird concepts that trendsetters create, and they distill it into more wearable looks, more dresses, more prints, that sort of thing. And then you have the people that are kind of on the tail end. They're like the last of the, like the, they kind of like, and they are, as of 20 years ago, they used to be the cheapest brands, but now fast fashion has really changed how the trend cycle functions in terms of price point. But then you also have people who care nothing about trend. They do not want to sit anywhere near the trend cycle, even if they are indirectly affected by it. And, that whole thing, that whole cerulean blue monologue in The Devil Wears Prada, that affects people who avoid trends too. Okay, trends come and go, and all of a sudden, neon is everywhere. And even if you say something like, I don't care about trends, there will be a point where, like, you are swayed by public opinion, and you're like, you see it everywhere, and you start to think, that looks kind of good. So, even if you are not a trendy designer, you still, there are still things that just look more modern, because that's just how fashion works. So you have to establish where you are in the trend cycle and how that suits your customer. Because I would say the row is not particularly trendy. Like, people try to emulate them, not because of their trends, but because they have a certain sort of like attitude and vibe that people want to emulate, that too cool for school sort of attitude that they try to emulate, and not because of particular trends and concepts that they come up with. But if you look at individual pieces, they're basic. They're really basic. Um, and so where do you want to be in that? And again, the row, like, they're not particularly targeting old people, but they're still sort of like timeless basics. And so you need to separate in your mind age and style. Okay. There are plenty of women who look very elegant in like a black pantsuit or a tuxedo when you go out, or a red pencil skirt, an Hermes scarf, that sort of thing. And there are plenty of older women who look to more people like Iris Apfel, where it's more colorful and it's way more accessorized. It's not like just simple pared down essentials, but it's like a lot of piling on of color and mixing of patterns and prints and things. I will say that, again, it all goes down to your specific customer. And I want you to think about it in terms of your specific customer and not tropes regarding age. Okay? Because there are a lot of different ways to be a 50-year-old woman, just as there are a lot of different ways to be a 25-year-old woman. Okay? Like, a lot of brands that target 25-year-olds, they look like cute going out clothes. There are plenty of 25-year-olds who have no need for these clothes. They don't want them. That's not their vibe at all. And that's fine. That's their life. And so you just cannot be laissez-faire about, oh, it's just, what girls in their 20s wear. That doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't tell us anything. So, we go through these cycles in runways. Okay, I just want to say one more thing before I go to the comments. We go through these cycles on the runway where there is a there is an outlier group of the season. Okay, the mainstream group is thin, tall, largely Caucasian, to be real. Okay, tall, thin, white people who are conventionally attractive. And if they're not conventionally attractive, they are kind of otherworldly, fashion, cool, ugly. Okay. And every season, there is an outlier group that fashion decides is going to be their pet cause that season. And some seasons, it's plus size women, and you have like an extra, like all of a sudden, people have decided to have one curvy model on their runway that season in a look that they don't offer in larger sizes. Some seasons, it's going to be Carmen de la Orfice coming out of retirement and showing up on the runway again, and they show all these gray-haired models, or what was that one event where they had older celebrities? So they do this thing where, and menswear is different. Menswear, you have more older models than they do in their typical women's wear runway, you know? So you have these cycles where, like, one season, it's like the outlier group du jour is older women, and they do that. And you'll rarely see them all mixed together unless you have a brand like Colina Strada, where they're like everybody. They always have, as far as I know, just everybody, different sizes, different shapes, different abilities, different heights, different ages. They have those kinds of runways. And I wish I liked their clothes more. I do. Like, I do have some issues with their quality. I wish I liked their clothes more, because like the fun, like all people need cool clothes sort of runways really appeal to me. And I feel like more people can do it and should do it. But yeah, so don't think of older people as like this is the demographic of old people and this is what they like. Here's what I will say about old people that typically, not always, but typically is true in my experience. Number one, they want more comfort. Okay. And, if they want something and they'll sacrifice comfort for a special occasion or anything, they'll kind of go out of their main shopping areas to do it. But for the most part, that's when they're like, I've given up the stiletto life for the kitten heel life. That's when, menopause makes wider waists, and so they want something more comfortable. That's when, like, they want to look more relaxed. That's when they shop for the fun moo-moos. I would love to find more fun caftans for me to wear out and about. But you already knew I didn't like showing my body. I've always been like that. And the second thing is, older people tend to care less about what other people think, which is also kind of part and parcel with wearing extravagant caftans in public. Like, generally speaking, all genders, like, the older you get, the more you live and the more crap you've been dealt your life and that you've overcome, you just stop caring about what other people think. And wrapped up in that is you stop caring about what other people think when it comes to your style, your look, how you present yourself. As long as you smell not horrible, as long as you hold basic hygiene, they do not care. And some of that means they will go to the airport in pajamas and bonnets. And, one time I was at the airport and I saw a girl and she just had a roller in her bangs. She needed to roll her bangs. And so she had a roller in her bangs on the flight. She didn't care. And some of it will be like that, like they've kind of dropped out of fashion. They're like, whatever. And some of that means that they are going to wear all the fashion. They're going to wear all the fashion. And they don't care. They're going to mix match and mix prints and do all the fun things that they were a little bit afraid maybe to wear before. Or maybe they always wore those things and now they're just continuing with that. But yeah, like, I have found that in general, older women, they just have stopped caring what other people think. And they're really on this path of just like making themselves happy. So that's what I see a lot. All right, let me look at some of these comments. Oh my God, there's so many comments. Way more than usual. Okay. Cookie says, I'm taking my grandma's vintage cross stitched art hanging in a frame and putting it inside my denim jacket. Beautiful. T says, millennial gray for the win. See, that's the thing is I don't know what that means. I've heard it, but I don't know what millennial gray is. I don't know what that is. Oops. And then Cookie says, and then cutting the denim to show the art like strategic strips to reveal the art, like taking wallpaper off a beautiful wall. I just did that on the jacket I did on Sunday. I have a jacket that I bought in Poland like over 10 years ago. I went to an independent fashion designers expo in Warsaw. Uh, and I bought this jacket because I thought the fabric was beautiful, but it's been a long time since I've worn it. So I took the jacket apart, I picked all the stitches, and I repaneled the denim jacket. I think I posted like a work in progress on Instagram, but I'll show you guys on Friday. Sasha says, denim jackets, like all clothes, go through different style eras. I prefer a 2000 silhouette. Other prefers others. Yeah, I have all kinds of denim jackets. I have one from Capital that is my favorite. It's your typical beautiful blue denim, but it's not a jean jacket. It's not a jean style, like the pocket flaps in the front and the pockets in the, with the welt seams. It's not a jean jacket style at all. It's more of like a safari meets parka style, and I love it. I love to wear it in an LA winter. I have a black denim jean jacket that is again not your classic jean jacket style, but I bought it. It's Levi's, but it's like a Japanese denim. I bought it in Japan. Like they had this like whole collab with Japanese denim. And then I have jackets that are your classic jean jacket that are more. I have ones that are more form fitting, and then I have ones that are like very boxy and loose. I got the big boxy acid wash one in Japan on a separate trip from like one of Japan's few, very very few plus size brands, Punyas. I always hit the Punya store when I go to Japan. I love their stuff. And I bought that denim jacket there 100 years ago. And yeah, so I have different ones. I don't have any repeat styles, but I just don't care. I love denim. Everybody, if you've been following me for a minute, y'all know how much I love denim. So yeah. Violet Femme, a matte red lip is such a classic look. If you watch even like I've had YouTube for 10 years and I've been rocking a red lip often. Not every video, but often. I've worn red lips my whole adult life. Not even my adult life. I remember when I was in 4th grade. And I don't know how I got my hands on this makeup kit, but those like super cheap brandless makeup kits that have like 20 different eyeshadow colors and tiny tubes of lipstick. I was a latchkey kid and nobody saw me before I left the house. Like I would wake up, make myself breakfast, get ready for school and leave before anybody else in the house woke up. And so nobody knew what I looked like when I went to school. And one day I wore a little bit too much makeup. Like my teachers were just like, oh, little Zoe, she's like playing around. One day I wore a little bit too much. And so they sent a letter home and they're like, so I was wearing a red lip in 4th grade just for funsies. And then when there was this rumor circulating that a red lip was a protest against fascism because Hitler hated a red lip. I'm like, okay, let's not go too far because just wearing a specific lipstick is not really a protest. Like, calm down. Like, please do actual somethings for a protest. But if Hitler hated a red lip, that's just another reason to like it. Okay. I wouldn't say it's a protest, but like it's in the plus column for me. Red lip of any kind will always be a classic, like a little black dress. Yay. Yes. I think fit is more important than age appropriate. Also, if the clothes wear you, it's not a fit. People should be the star of the outfit no matter the age. I agree with you on people should be the star of the outfit. I think that sometimes the outfit wears the person, and it's an elusive quality. Like you can't really put your finger on it always, but you can tell like when you look at red carpet stuff or like sometimes it just looks like the person is uncomfortable. Like they bought it because they liked it. I mean, they could have very valid reasons for liking it, but ultimately they look uncomfortable wearing it. And if you're somebody who wants to be more daring and want to wear more daring things out in public and you don't know yet, I would say wear them around the house first. That would be my advice. Wear it around the house and at least get used to the physicality of wearing it on your body and moving around in it. And when you move around in a garment with ease, that adds to the looking like you're at ease with the style also. So that's what I would do. But yeah, like when people look like the clothes are wearing them, that's not a good fit. Violet Femme says telling women that a style decision makes them look old is such a manipulative way to use women's insecurities against them. Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. You know, this whole like, yeah, that's a subject for another day. Okay. Susan says, please talk about your setup with the mic. This is a Rode podcaster mic. The brand is RODE Rode, like I rode a horse. And they are an excellent brand of recording mics. So there's two different kinds of mics. There are recording mics that you plug into whatever phone, tablet, computer so that you can record your voice. And when it records a better sound quality. Or an amplifying mic. And those are the kinds you see on stage that the purpose is to make you sound louder. Okay. This doesn't amplify me. It doesn't, when I'm like, whoever's maybe listening in my room, there's nobody here, but if somebody was listening in my room, they would not hear any difference in how my voice sounds using this mic. It's simply recording it. And I love Rode mics. I have a Rode lav mic too. Lav mics are the kinds that you clip to your shirt, the little tiny ones that clip to your shirt. This is for podcasting and it's on a huge branch. I don't know if you can see that. That is hooked up to my table like a studio lamp. And it has like, it just has like, I can't actually show you the thing, but it has like a jack and I can switch from my phone to my computer. Like if I'm doing Zoom meetings, I'll plug it into my laptop. It's a really good mic. My husband, he's like, one time we were testing something on Zoom. And so he was in the other room and I was in here and we did a fake Zoom call to test out some stuff. And he's like, ooh, you sound so authoritative on that mic. I'm like, I know, I really like T, but in the at Violet Femme, but in the same breath, some styles certainly lean the more matronly side. I mean, some people want to look like that. They want to look like a certain modest, like, I mean, I guess some people could say I look matronly because there's a certain level of modesty in how I dress. And matronly is an opinion, but some people want to look a certain age because it grants them a certain level of authority. And this is how they feel their most authentic self because they are of that age and that is who they are. That is the vibe they want to come across. Like if they want to come across as older, more motherly, more matronly, more matriarchal, like that's the vibe they want to impress, then that is their prerogative. Hello, hello to people who are joining now. Gabrielle says the row is aura farming. Yeah, there's this there's this woman on YouTube that she goes on these long, she calls them video essays, where she goes on these long rants about things that are happening in pop culture as they pertain to money. I think her channel is called The Financial Diet. And the woman who does this, her name is, I want to say Chelsea. And she recently did a video essay on the Roe sample sale and all the reasons why it's an absolute shit show. um, it's really good. It's really good. Yukiko says, "Hey Yukiko, Yukiko says older people have a lot less things to lose, like reputation." I don't know about that, but I think that people think that, and therefore leads to that attitude. Like people think like, what do I have left to lose? Like whatever. Like again, maybe they're more established in their careers. They've raised their kids, they're empty nesters, they're kind of just living for themselves now. Like there are a lot of situations that older people can find themselves in where they're just like, yeah, I don't care. So what? You know? Whereas younger people may be like, oh, whether or not it's true, a lot of younger people do think, oh, if I make this one misstep, my whole career is sunk. Or if I do this thing, there's a little bit of that that I witnessed at the alumni function on Saturday. But also at the same time, like there are also plenty of young people who are like, I literally do not care. And they post the craziest stuff on social media thinking there's not going to be any backlash. And yeah, till I was a full grown adult. Like when I was in college at the turn of the century, the turn of the millennia, um, my girlfriend, so I had a high school girlfriend who ended up going to Princeton for college, and I was going to college in LA, and Princeton's in New Jersey. So we kept in touch via email, which I only checked like once a week, once every 3 days. And she was trying to get me to check it more often. And so she told me to join Friendster, and I barely posted. Like I was so new to the internet and how it worked that I thought that I had to use my full legal name on my Friendster profile instead of these nicknames that everybody else was using. And I was like, oh, I don't have to use my full government name on the internet. Cool. Like, but it took a while. Like, that's how naive I was about the internet. And then I didn't like, yeah. So this whole, I don't know if I would have done a very good job if I was able to post on Instagram as a kid, like, or have that any kind of social media, honestly. So Sasha says, when I get old, I want to be like Diana Vreeland. I want to be like Diana Vreeland now. Sometimes, like, I really love blush. This is my love of blush has nothing to do with Diana Vreeland. I just like her separately. But like sometimes I overdo the blush and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to take some of this off. Or I could just go and I don't care. It's not like I'm known for makeup. I'm not. And so I try new things, I try new products, I try new techniques on my face, like whatever, right? But she had those crazy red cheeks and okay, this is a not enough for a full like, full video. But I've said this many times that your appearance in the fashion industry matters. And we don't want it to. We always want our work to stand alone. And so we always want all these other extraneous things like how popular we are, how much money we have, and what we look like, all these things. We don't really want those things to matter, but they do. Because we work in fashion and we like looking at cool, beautiful, interesting, etc. things. And so you do have to think about your appearance in fashion. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be conventionally attractive or the best dressed. Okay. When I was growing up, my dad was like, "You're not stylish enough to be a fashion designer." And I was like, Giorgio Armani wears black slacks and a black t shirt anytime anyone's ever taken a photo of him ever. So I'm going to create, like, I'm going to wear a uniform and I'm just going to be a female Giorgio Armani. So take that, dad. And it was like a, it was like a silly, flippy moment. You know, my dad and I like did all these like little petty arguments all the time. But I actually took that to heart. I'm like, yeah, I can have my own uniform and not worry about it. Which is why I have like 20 long sleeve black t-shirts and I wear them typically with jeans and a weird shoe. I love a weird shoe. I love an ugly shoe and I love a weird shoe. And so if you ever meet any of my former university students and you're like, you can ask them like, did Zoe always show up to school in a long sleeve black t-shirt and jeans? And they're like, yes, that's all she wore. Oh, sometimes I would wear something nice on last day. But yeah. But I think we all need to cultivate a look. There are a lot of designers who dress very simply who also have adopted a uniform. I think that this is, I mean, if you look at a lot of super famous fashion people, they have a particular style marker that makes them more recognizable, but like distinguishable. It's an extension of their brand. Like when you look at Miuccia Prada, it's not like she goes out looking overly made up or anything, but she wears a lot of the silhouettes that she creates for her brand, like a below the knee A-line skirt and a sweater, you know, modest styles, covering a lot of skin, longer skirts, you know, not super tight fitted. I mean, Donatella Versace looks like she wears Versace. Karl Lagerfeld wore the black and white, the black suit, white shirt, black tie, the white powdered hair, the black fan, the black sunglasses. Anna Wintour with her bob and her sunglasses. Sonia Rykiel had that red triangle of hair, like, and heavy, heavy black eyeliner always. Anna Sui, like long black hair, straight cut bangs, red lipstick, all her like very boho chic Stevie Nicks clothes. Like they all have these very distinct styles. And even like the whole idea of John Galliano like wearing insane costumes at the end of his runway shows. That's not a uniform, but that was something he was known for. So I think, and also I think it's like easier to just have a uniform and kind of always have like a standby. And again, none of these have anything to do with the ages of these people. Like Anna Wintour's looked like that since the beginning of her career. I read this like biography of her where there was this thing where she was talking about how much she hates brown and how she never wears brown. And that's like a childhood thing. I think her high school uniforms were brown, and so she never wears brown anymore. I don't know. Gabrielle, not caring about others' opinions or on non consequential stuff is truly freeing. Swipe your card when I shop or be quiet. Swipe your card when I shop or be quiet. I love it. I love it. You paying for this? Then no, you don't get an opinion. My husband pays for a lot of my stuff and he doesn't even get an opinion. Like if he doesn't like it, but I'm in love, he'll just have to suffer quietly. I'm like, you said you're buying this for me, so I'm gonna buy it. Mm. Rachel says, for me, clothes being comfortable is a non-negotiable. If I can't eat a big meal and sit down comfortably afterwards, then I won't wear it. Yeah, you know this whole idea of like unbuttoning the top button after you eat? I'm like, no. I wouldn't have worn something that I needed to do that with to begin with. That's crazy. Gabrielle says, a lot of people like to equate dressing modestly with old age. Just because I don't want my cheeks hanging out doesn't mean I'm old. Yeah, I've always dressed kind of covered up. And to be very frank with you, it's because I don't particularly like my body. And that is what it is. But it has nothing to do with age. Like I've always just not shown things. And that's just on me. And it's not. And so if you watched my spring 2026 review where I was talking about how I love slutty clothes, I just don't wear them, but I love looking at slutty clothes. That's straight facts. Like I love looking at like really sexy skin tight Alaya. Like when I was in Paris, I went to the Alaya Foundation to go check out like old Alaya exhibits and stuff. Like, I love a sexy Alaya. You know, I grew up in the era of the Hervé Leger bondage dress the first time around, the OG versions, you know, when Gianni Versace was still designing before he was murdered. And I love all that stuff. Old school Mugler, back when it looked like you were about to have the scariest, hottest sex of your life. You know, I love all that stuff. Do I wear it? No. Do I wish I had the body where I would feel comfortable wearing it? Yes. Would I wear it if I had a body like that? Yes. Like, I think it's hot. Just not me personally. Violet Femme says, love Chelsea from TFD. Recently met her on her book tour. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, Chelsea from TFD, The Financial Diet. Did you watch the video on the row sample sale? I thought that was particularly good. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Claudia says, I'm literally at fashion school right now and I'm watching the live instead of doing my homework. I'm tired. Haha, love your videos. This is part of your education, Claudia. So if anyone gives you guff, like just say, like, I went to go listen to my other teacher lecture. Sasha says, you just have to be put together and confident. You don't have to look like a model to be attractive. Gabrielle, Anna was born with that bob and sunglasses. It feels like that sometimes. Violet Femme says, yes, I saw her video on the roll sample sale and I agreed with her. Yeah. There are very few things from the row that I think look special in any sense. Very few. But people love the row capitalized, like the reason they show in Paris is that they're really capitalizing on that whole French insouciant, nonchalant attitude towards appearance and the so-called effortless. It takes so much effort to look effortless, but that whole idea of effortless style, that whole thing, they capitalize on that, and showing in Paris is part and parcel to that look and everything. And but when you break down the individual garments, it's whatever. It's whatever. Not to say that I think you should buy a bunch of fast fashion bullshit to knock off that style. I still think that you should invest in like a really nice contemporary price point boxy white shirt if that's the look you're going for. That's kind of on my shopping list right now. But yeah. Okay, so we are at the hour mark. Last questions, especially regarding ageism in fashion. Age doesn't matter. Your personal ideas on style are what matters when it comes to getting dressed. And also, when you are working on your customer profile as a designer, it's just not enough to have an age bracket. It's not enough. You have to think about what kind of 40-year-old, what kind of 70-year-old, and where in the trend cycle you fit, and the kinds of clothes at what price point, and the kind of style, and who your model muses are, whether you're more like, you know, Anna Wintour, where she wears designer, but they're more conservative. Like, has anyone seen a picture of Anna Wintour at a Met Gala where it wasn't a long dress with a long coat? Like, that's where she wears to every Met Gala, okay? Or you could do something that's a little bit more crazy, like Iris Apfel. One of my favorite social media accounts to follow is Advanced Style, where the person who runs that channel interviews women in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and their style is, I'm just going to say, artful collage. I feel like that's like a broad stroke way to kind of define the kinds of people that get interviewed on Advanced Style. So, love that. And yeah. Violet Femme says, I think Phoebe Philo's new line is more interesting, although it is outside my budget. Yeah, part of the conversation we were having is how on the spring shows, they were talking about how we were talking about how women are kind of killing it right now. The debuts are killing it. The way women are Showing clothes that, number one, are creative and interesting to look at, but still are things that women want to wear, like really getting in that Venn diagram instead of just creating fantastical things for concept only. Somebody said the other day that we're not really going to understand Matthew Blasey versus Jonathan Anderson's debuts until they do Couture this season. And I beg to differ. We already know men are really good at creating conceptual, unwearable things. Okay? We already know that. We already know that. So whatever. Like I'm not interested in that from them in particular. We already know men are very, very good at kind of fetishizing and like objectifying women to be the hangers of weird concepts. We already know that. So, yes, I'm going to check out their couture, but I don't consider it the true marker of how good their debuts are. Sasha said Phoebe Philo's 10K coats were controversial last year, but now are the norm. I didn't know about the controversy. All right, that's it. I have no more questions in the comments. Someone left me another comment about my teeth. Y'all need to get a fucking life. All right, I will see you all Friday for a pre-recorded video and the next Tuesday for the next live stream. If you have any topics to consider for the next live stream, drop them in the comments below and I'll see you around. Bye.